should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy.
Yes.
I normally make the joke that I'm the hottest thing inside the frame. With bridal parties, that really kills it. But we're looking for those warm spots, right, or the cold spots. So those are going to be blue and black. So that's why I point out that I'm red, orange, and yellow, because I'm one of the warmest things outside, same as you guys. We're looking for the blue and black to either take shape or to start moving on its own. So when I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. That's what we've caught with it in the past. That's hopefully what we'll capture with it again someday. I love to give you stats about the equipment you're using as well, just because I'm not a TV show host and I'm not on YouTube. Now, I capture 4 to 5 pieces per year on this guy that I would put my stamp of approval on, not per episode. So just kind of keep that in retrospect. However, there is a big learning curve that goes along with this, and it is super fun to watch. Now, I also have it set up where there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. The blue dot is there to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops out of that. So there's always a barometer, right? So you got to have some kind of, what am I looking for? It's 78 degrees for us ambient, and it'll be about 77 by the time we're done. So I'll be looking at 63 to 64 degrees coming out of this, out of those blue dots. And then I still take a screenshot. I debunk that it may not have been a can on the ground, a sign that caught some wind, because they're metal, so forth and so on. Windshields will always be blue or black, so just kind of keep that in mind when you guys are watching these videos, because it's glass. It hangs on to the coolness. So you guys will see, we'll talk a lot more about thermal as we kind of move around, especially if we get something out of it. So Mark, I'm going to hand this one. There you go. Bingo. What's our word now? Curtain. Nobody even went to jail. It's curtains for you, Kate. Curtains. Gotta think in the time era that you're working. All right, so welcome to a parking lot next to a dumpster. Super great. I told you I take you to weird spots. No other ghost tour comes here because there's nothing to see. So if you've taken history tours, there's normally a building or something. They're like, oh, check this out. But with this place, it's an empty lot, but it used to be something relevant to the history of Charleston, which is why this will remain a staple for life for the entire time I was in Charleston. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. The mansion actually sat in the front of the space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters. That's the layout of the land. Who the hell were they? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. That's why we look for those secondary clues, because in the event you hear the name Charles, I need to know which one it is, so that way I know how to address that. Make sense? So again, that's why I always do those kind of things. Speaking of which, this is where I start withholding information on purpose, so that way you guys aren't always searching for something specific and trying to piece the story extra together. I'll give you just enough just to know who you're dealing with, but I'm going to withhold a lot. I'm not going to give you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red box. So back to the nephew. The son and the nephew, Charles and Charles, were both signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than all of you combined, so we're going to move on. If I don't give the gentleman their recognition, they're going to do it for me in a nasty way coming out of a spirit box. So I just make sure I give it to them and move on. We're going to discuss Eliza instead. She married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. The reason I say it slowly is because if you're going to ask her how old she was, don't expect numbers like 12 and 14 from the days that she came from, because colonial days, because that's when girls got married at 12 and 14. So don't expect those kind of numbers. Think of today's standards, because the husband was over double her age when they married. It's kind of a creepy age gap then, creepy age gap now. So I just put that out there. It's another reason why I ask who the hell is who to everybody. So when I say, hey, what's the relationship here? I've seen where I thought it was father-daughter, and it turned out to be a married couple. I never know. That's why I've had to put my foot in my mouth on the age gap thing. But anyway, moving on. She married him because her father.
Can't be sure, but I think I heard my name.
There you go. What'd you bring with you? Okay, I'll write it down, but we're gonna want more than just your name. So we need to know who.
Could have been travel or something like that, but
Okay. It's usually your first instinct. So if you hear house or mouse, I'm gonna write down house because you said that first. Make sense? It's always what you initially think. Now we're recording it, so you can go back and check on it later. But if it doesn't come up in my spot check, so she married him because her father was over in England and he thinks he's dying, trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so you can see him. Eliza didn't believe he was dying. Instead, she stayed put right here, got married. It is 1744. You do not get married in that year to earn a green card. We're not a country yet. So this was a true love story. There's nothing horrific about this location. It's a place of respect. You'll see why in just a moment. But She was correct. Dad did not die right away, and instead he started sending her gifts from England right here. And one of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. It's a plant that makes blue dye, makes your blue jeans blue, and nobody's wearing it tonight. So normally I have at least one example, and it's never me because I don't wear blue jeans down here. But anyway, moving on. When she got her seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it going because it's not always hot here. And then she learned how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of Dad overseas and said, rice plantation prices are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something you just don't hear of. So that's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird shit because that's why you guys showed up. So with your camera, it'll just be nice, slow movements. Again, you might even want to just lower it a little bit. People get really funny if they're going to their cars and they see somebody's filming. But with your questioning, here's how this is going to go. You're going to be focused on Eliza's death. So if you're asking a question, that answer can go anywhere, and that goes for all of us. So that's why even if it was just the two of them here, we would pretty much be using all of the same stuff because I want two pieces of communication. So it could also go to my voice recorder or the audio from the camera because yes, that's recording audio as well. But questions about her death that we always get the answers to, commonly. Age and time of death, how she died, where she's buried, which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So those are four majors. So age, how, where, death, or president. So those are like the four majors. If you guys go rogue and ask your own questions, so Sandy, I'm going to give you like a few questions too for based on your device. But if you go rogue and ask your own, just be respectful. No yes, no questions. Do not ask her about her children. I will explain before we leave the space. So what's going to happen here is, let me give you your question. So you're going to be focused on the mansion. We're going to keep it nice and simple. It's not here anymore. So ask what happened to it. And these are focus questions. You don't have to say things out loud. She knows we're here. I ask the same damn questions every night with you guys. But if we get the what happened to it, we often get 2 or 3 numbers from the exact date of when that occurred. So again, they're very specific numbers. And your device will give you digits as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to be running a quick experiment here with an EMF speaker. So let me explain what that is. So the device on your right side that's gauging the EMF with the red screen, they made a new speaker that can hear the buzzing of EMF. So what we're looking for is fluctuations in that. And it will be going straight from this voice recorder because the one I ordered to put it on the regular device hasn't come in yet. So in the middle of this, you're going to have like a buzzing sound for about 10 minutes, and I'm looking for anomalies in that. Now the first test I did with it was here, and we did find a male and female voice in a 5-second spike. So it was very interesting. It was indiscernible, but I'm going to do another test at this location because the other places I tested it at, we didn't get anything besides here. So I wanted to try it again with a nice small group. I'm going to be, toying around with that. And you guys are basically going to just wander the lot, nice and slow, kind of see what happens. Have you seen any numbers show up at all yet? Nothing yet. So again, you're looking for 2.5s and higher out of that. And what's the word on our screen right now?
Compliant.
Compliant. Anything else I need to know out of yours before?
We got her run out and then running back.
Run out, running back, and travels. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on your numbers because we get some pretty high numbers in this location. Anything weird or anomalous out of your camera? And Mark, just so you know, with that camera, because it is small, I don't always follow up a lot with it real time. I'm more about the communication real time because those videos do go to YouTube. I know I said I'm not a YouTuber, but that's not counting as being a YouTuber. So that way I can watch them on a computer screen. So just don't get discouraged when I'm talking to communicators more.
That's fine.
All right, so you guys wonder about, I'm going to set up this little crazy device and I'm going to listen in for about 5 to 7 minutes and then we're going to kind of regroup. I'll give you all of the answers so that way you're not left in the dark and show you how I pieced this together when I get back to the office. That's how this space will go. We're lucky enough where there are no vehicles in here tonight. All weekend long this lot was packed and I was sold out every night, so I had 10 people trying to weave in and out of cars. Like, it was madness. I'm like, guys, we got to cut this one short. Somebody's going to get hit. But yeah, wander about. And I'm going to play with it, around with this thing, and then if I find anything, I'll show you guys how this thing works once I get everything going too. So.
I heard new country and scared at times.
nothing.
But
I
he
see
said
you
that's
guys.
what
Well,
he
I
said
see.
that's what you want, because you're real quick like that.
I was gonna say I don't see nothing. I see you guys, but nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing to move.
Getting 25s over here. It's going between like 15 and 25. Try not to give them a little tiny space. Friends be wondering if it's picking up on the border. This is just a prototype playing around with. This little guy here, this guy is sensing, and I'm not sensing, like I'm not getting fluctuations. Just wondering. What do you got?
I thought I heard an 8 and a 2, and it was on 2 different frequencies.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the same frequency. It was 2 different voices.
I'm gonna do one more quick lap. This guy, see what I can get out of it, and then freak out. Mark, you want to hear what this thing sounds like?
Sure.
Show you basically what I've done here. So this little speaker at the top, yeah, I'll hand this over. So it can hear the EMF, just like the millimeter that mom's using. So if I point it in the direction of the pole, you should get a different buzz. I point it away because it's directional. You get it now? So what we're looking for in there.
It only does on one side though. Like I hear the buzz on one side, but not both ears. Like it only
No,
does
it's
one
coming
ear.
through on both, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm kind of deaf in
Because
one
Mark
ear.
is
Yeah.
deaf in
I'm
one
weird.
ear, so
Yeah, that's probably the reason why.
I can hear better on this ear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole point here is that if I put this phone near it, you should get definitely a different buzz. So what I look for is if we get that where it wasn't something that I did, I'm going to look for a voice in there. Like that's the point.
Okay.
And this is where I caught the voice, and I
Makes
haven't caught
sense.
anything in here so far.
before this word, it was married.
Oh. So hopefully we got something else. Travis, have you heard anything?
A little while ago, I heard Rant, and then a little bit later, I heard 1984. My birth year.
Not from the colonial times, though.
Nope.
Do you want to give this a quick listen? It's not loud.
It's
you'll be able to hear
kind of
us.
like the staticky of a TV, and it
Yeah.
goes in and out a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just slide those over your ears, and I'll point it in different directions. If I point it towards the post, you should be able to get a different buzz
Mhm.
versus pointing it at you. See where it's the difference? So it's new on the market, like they just released this thing, so I was like, I had to have it. It's cheap, it doesn't require batteries, and if I can capture something in it with the amount of locations that I go to on a regular basis, there might be something more
Be
to
worth it,
this.
yeah.
You know, if I can amplify it or recreate it, that's kind of how it goes. Did you want to give this a quick listen so you know what it sounds like? You can just switch headphones. Slide those over here if you want. Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll point it at the pole so you get the buzzing of that. And it's real light. It's not a loud sound. So I'll point it at the pole, a little bit of buzzing, and I'll point it away. Keep it directly on us. In this particular spot, we have enough like foliage, so you actually want to go like a shot down the alley. No, opposite. So you come back to us and turn the camera that way. There you go. And again, if another tour will come through, like there is a set of stairs in that ivy wall, so don't get started. It's not ghost walking through the ivy. It's another tour through. But I was going to take this out because every ghost tour comes here. Did you literally spout off everything that you heard, by the way? I wrote down most of it.
There was Near You and Playing. Those were two other things I heard.
Let's see, what's this agenda? Approach Championship. Wow, you didn't get much on my way here, huh?
No,
Okay.
they stayed on Alexa forever.
I don't know who the hell Alexa is. I use Google at my house. But anyway, so
Savannah.
we were just talking about that, and that's where he's going. Okay, interesting.
Son of God.
You're going to start getting a lot more religious terms. It always happens when we are near the tallest steeple in Charleston. It happens all the time. It's to a point where I stopped writing it down. It happens so often. It's almost like you're picking up the vibe of the church. It's weird. Not to mention, you are in the Holy City at night. There's going to be evangelists on the radio. But the reason I was going to take this out is because they all tell the same damn story. But this guy does follow us from here to the end because we will always be near a place of raised emotion for him. Not to mention, his story's been told for the past 40 to 50 years, and I'm the only guy that's been around that can communicate back and actually hear what he's got to say. So it's an interesting ghost we're dealing with here. And he's a smart ass, we'll just put that out there. He also has a code word when we're not near this alley, so that way I know he's nearby. It's a weird word that you wouldn't typically hear on the radio. I'll let you know when it pops up, in the event that it actually does. But this is called Philadelphia Alley now, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So during the entire time that we're here, if you want to turn that down, it's completely up to you, so that way you're not holding your earbud out, because we're going to basically tell his story and we're going to bolt. We're going to go up and around the corner. We're not going to like stop and explore like we do all the other spaces. But anyway, so I'm just trying to give you tips and tricks. It's your night. You have fun however you want to. Just telling you what most people do. But the story that they're telling is the same one I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to give you extra details because it's ghost hunting, not campfire marshmallow kind of ghost tours. So let's get into it. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. In the event that the song Brown Eyed Girl shows up while we're here on the radio, it happens all the time. It's not coincidence, it's part of his name. I've been coming here for 5 years. So again, just really coincidental. But he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a lot of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash. Well, the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of that doctor, and he moves down here to prove that he's not after her cash. And on his way down here, he had a coachman that set him up to be robbed and killed. It was not a very good start to his stay here, like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. Sorry if anybody's taking an Uber back. And Sandy's like, yep, that's some scary shit. So somebody was walking by, seeing what was about to happen to the newcomer because they knew the coachman, and the person walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So we were getting the letters RI all the time on a regular spirit box, so I bought another device. It's called an Envoy. In essence, it's a digital Ouija board. So it works off of EMF. Anytime there's a spike, it gives us a letter. So we got the letters RI several times over the past year and a half that I've had it, maybe 6 or 7, only when I bring up Ralph's name. Moving on. Ralph tells the doc, hey dude, I know this guy, the coachman. He's gonna try to kill you. Just come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and you'll be safe. Doc took him up on the offer and they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this and she's moving down so they can be married, and Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. I hate this story because of this exact reason. Every haunted city you will ever visit is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. Ours just happens to be a doctor. So why are we standing in Dueler's Alley? Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they, on the way home from seeing Richard III one night, they are arguing over the new actress they just saw. Doc thought she was great. Ralph did not. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly, and they go their separate ways. So when you had like Destroy Your Life, here's what happened. Ralph went to his friends at the newspaper and placed an ad telling the whole city of Charleston what he thought of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of shit. Well, Doc saw this ad and rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's gonna die. So, yeah, exactly. Weird stuff happened back in the 1700s because this argument started over an actress. I just like to point that out. The two gents came down, back to back, took 10 paces, turned, Doc points his gun in the air, and shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend, he just needed the courage to show up. But Ralph has his one bullet still, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die, he fell to the ground. Ralph proved his point, he's pissed. Doc's friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786. So, I want to also point out he refused medical treatment in that 10 days. Two things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than what we know of them now. Secondly, he is a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed. Every ghost tour tells their guests to listen for the whistles. Now we have a very noisy air conditioner nearby, but we're also running a video camera plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a disembodied whistle, more than likely it's going to be on those two devices. However, the device that Travis is using, I can't tell you how many times in my spot checks I have come across the whistling part of a song and the word doctor immediately after from a commercial. It happened dozens upon dozens of times. So I don't look for it, it just pops up. And then I look at the timestamp, I'm like, son of a bitch. It does it to me all the time. If you're going to try this on your own and walk all the way through the alley, because this is a place I've been kicked out of, turn on your voice recorders from your phone. Just remember, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley. It's just something we do here because we all know it as Whistler or Dueler's Alley instead of Philadelphia Alley, what it is now. So let's talk about how it got kicked out. If you had any, I see you got that little 2.9, but I normally look for like 8 or above just because of the lampposts give off up to like a 7. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you about that. Have you seen anything above an 8? Okay. There used to be a wall right about where that group is standing. So, and this place was called Cow Alley. Like, we're going back further than Dueler's Alley. The reason why I'm telling you this is because they started down there by the Queen Street side and slowly worked their way this way to make this alley. This is where they kept all the livestock, cows, goats, and chickens, hence the nickname Cow Alley. Now, those bricks down on the other side, older than what you're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, and fingerprint swipes and others. And I used to take my groups down there for a history lesson. There's nothing paranormal about that brick with the handprint in it. You guys already know how I feel about headstones. That kid's not staring at that handprint in the afterlife. November 26th of 2020, my entire group, after I gave them the history lesson, we go down there, and they all stop. They're waiting for something to happen. They're circled around this brick. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen. Secondly, we're standing outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm trying to be respectful, not realizing we were out of bounds for tours. I was new at this, had no idea. So, the new owner of the mansion, he came out. He was screaming his head off. My daughter thought it was hysterical. She was on the tour that night. She's about 14 years old. And she thought it was great. And we just moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on holidays, especially Thanksgiving, because I worked in upper management for Walmart. You guys fight over towels on Thanksgiving. You scarred me for life. So I don't work on Thanksgiving. The next day was the 28th. I called my partner that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened so I could try to figure out what the hell to do. I'm panicking. And he laughed at me just like my daughter did because the complaint already went through, and he already knew about it. And I said, dude, you got to reroute your group. You're only allowed to go down halfway. It's residential past that. I'm like, all right, great. So I told my group that night, because it's Black Friday, I'm sold out again. Tickets were way cheaper back then. And I told them, I was like, I'm into vampires, not pirates. I would normally tell you a pirate story, by the way, but that's the next stop that I got kicked out of. We're going to do something else. But basically, in a nutshell, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne come out of a spirit box. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The female pirate, Anne Bonny. So it's kind of like, oh shit, maybe we're going to get something. We go up and around the corner. I told them what I did know about pirates in Charleston, which wasn't much because it's not my thing, at least it wasn't back then. And somebody else heard the number 300. I didn't know what it meant. I wrote it down. I do the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. The exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I was like, well, damn it. Here's why. I was actually pissed off. All of my degrees, including my master's degree, are all in writing. I need facts and data, especially when I'm doing paranormal kind of stuff. So pirate stories are not data. That's facts and like lore that was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy. So that's a problem. So whenever anybody found anything over there, I had to dive into like 3 to 5 books to try to verify what the hell was happening with it. It was just a lot going on, and it took me 4 years to build that story, and now I can't even tell it to you anymore because we've been kicked out of that spot, unfortunately. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to go up and around the corner. I'm going to take Mark's camera. I'm going to give him a crazy infrared night vision camera, and we're going to be looking for an apparition. So I'll give you the history of. It's a very quick, like 3 to 4 minute history. When we get up around the corner, while I'm changing out his camera, I definitely want you listening in along the way. What do we got going on with your word list? Anything crazy? I seen electric on there. Halt attic. Who's dancing down here? It looks like you got to do laundry when you go to Savannah. That's what it says. Okay, still a whole lot of nothing. I mean, the halt is okay, but it's not super great. Now you got the word team. Yeah, everybody tries to do jump scares down here too. It's hysterical. So when we swap out cameras, obviously we'll pack that one away. I'll give you the night vision camera. I'll talk about the apparition and basically what we're looking for. And then I'll explain our last 2 stops because they are completely different than what we've been doing all night long. Continue to listen. And, you know, from here to there, I know we're going to go up and around the corner, but it gives you like a good 3 to 4 minutes to listen in. Just shout out whatever you hear. We're going to cut through that group, and hopefully nobody's in our way when we go up and around the corner. Alice. Who's Alice? When it goes red like this, it usually means it's going to give us another word. It growls too, but we don't need that shit. We just need the word bank that's in there. Anything weird out of the camera, Mark?
No.
Again, this guy will follow us. So yeah, headphone up, and let's go up and around the corner and see what we can do. Essentials.